Brad Betts, your go to show for global football analysis and betting. Today is January 21st of the new year. Absolutely excited to be back. And I want to quickly introduce my co host, my guy, the Royal Capper at Prince of Picks 10 on X and TikTok. How you doing today, brother?
Yeah, back on TikTok. We're back on TikTok. We had a 1 day hiatus there, but we are back. Yeah, what's going on, man? Happy to be here again. Quick recap over our weekend. Had a great weekend. We opened up the new VIP channel. So for those of you who are interested, it's just $5 a month. We've been making that back and then some over the weekend. Had a lot of great wins for the VIPs and for the regular community as well. So yeah, I've been killing it, and yeah, there's a lot of games today that are really interesting. Of course, we got Champions League, so you got all those matches, and then there's other leagues as well that are in action today. That I found some really good, interesting lines on that I'm kind of excited to cover here, which we'll get into shortly.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into. I want to talk about this first match. This first match that's live right now in the Europa League. Galatasaray is taking on Dynamo Kiev. They're up 2-0 right now and absolutely dominating. They scored off of a header from the corner, which is no surprise with Galatasaray. They got a bunch of big bodies. That was a big defender. Then they scored again. It's our 35th minute right now. Kiev is getting some possession, which is of note. You do want to, if you're going to try and back anybody to score against them. Galatasaray has conceded in 18 straight in European play. So they're regulars. They've conceded in 10 straight coming into it. They've conceded in 34 of their last 38. So usually Galatasaray is conceding. They concede against poor opposition as well. They like to run up the score. Last match, they tied that Hatayspor. I can't really say it 1-1. It was only the second time that they've not hit that over 2.5 while hitting both teams to score in 40 of their last 42. So they're regular performers in the European League. Like you're saying right now, Kiev is struggling though. They've only scored in one of their last 6 European matches. That was against Victoria Pilsen. Not that great. They didn't score against it was Lazio, Hoffenheim, Roma, Ferencvaros, and Real Sociedad. Bigger clubs than they are, so it's not a surprise. I do kind of see them scoring. They are, and it's desperation mode. They're down 2-0 right now. There's nothing to do that they have to score. They have to try and overcome this odds. So that might be a look that you want to look at right now. I'm going to wait until halftime and we can talk about what those lines are at half and maybe look for a second half look. But Prince, go ahead and jump into your first pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, I actually gave that play out on the VIP channel in the community. We did a BTTS and over 2.5. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. We already got 2 from Galatasaray, and anyone who knows anything about Galatasaray is even a team that's struggling to score, you somehow find a way to score against Galatasaray. They just concede on the regular. So hopeful for that, and yeah, definitely gonna look at the live bets once we're done here with this show. But yeah, for my first official pick here for this show. We're going to 2:45 p.m. Eastern kickoff this afternoon. We're going to head over to the England Championship. I know everyone's focused on the UCL and all the big matches going on there, but I like to dive into some of these low leagues, these more obscure matches that maybe people aren't paying attention to here. So on this one, we got Oxford United. We're currently 15th in the table out of 24, taking on Luton Town, who shockingly sit 23rd out of 24. This is a team that preseason, a lot of people were picking to get promoted right back to the Premier League. They spent a lot of money on their team, retaining a lot of their talent. They were really supposed to make a push for promotion, and to see them buried at the bottom here in the relegation zone, it's pretty shocking to say the least here. But getting into some of the details here, BTTS is what we're looking at here, minus 115. BTTS has hit in 8 straight head-to-head here between these two sides, and over 2.5 has also hit in 7 out of 8 head-to-head here. So if you're looking at over 2.5, I wouldn't hate that either. But we're going to go more towards the BTTS side here, just because, I think Luton here, they're going to need to pick up 3 points in this one. With them being in the relegation zone, they're going to look at Oxford United as a team that they could beat and that they should beat, and that they really should pick up all 3 points. Problem with that is when they push for goals, they concede. And so I do see BTTS here having a really good chance of hitting. Just 2 points separating the 18th and 23rd place here in the table. So you got about 5 or 6 teams here that are all jumbled together with 2 spots of the relegation zone still up for grabs, which nobody wants, right? So for all those reasons here, I do think we see both teams to score. So that's going to be my official play here at minus 115. Oxford United taking on Luton Town.
Yep, Luton's been a team that I have tailed for a long time. Absolutely poor defense, playing super open. It has not changed since their move from the Premier League down to the Championship. The only thing that struggled is, for some reason, those attacking players aren't as prolific. They were able to score in the Premier League. They have some of the same players, but now that they're in the Championship, they're not scoring as regularly. I'm really shocked with that. They should be able to find the net, and they should be conceding just about every single match with how poor they are. So I am interested to see how that match goes. The championship, I just note or pulled up with the board. The championship came back from break, scoring pretty hot, and then it trailed off quite significantly. Last week was absolutely detrimental on the scoring. I was shocked. There were some matches that should have found a lot more goals than they have. So it's something that we need to pay attention to as we go forward, especially today in a big midweek slate. Okay, I want to jump straight into a really exciting match that I'm waiting on lineups specifically. And I want to see how this line moves throughout the day. And I want to see also where that money is about an hour before the match. It's going to really help me dictate what my play is going to be. But I'm going and looking at Benfica and Barcelona. Well, Benfica has come in scoring in 26 of their last 29. That's 38 of the last 39 competitive home matches. Benfica's at home. They like to score. They also like to score just regularly, but specifically at home. They've conceded now in 11 of 17. That's not bad. But then you take a look at Barcelona on the other end, that away end, prolific Barcelona. They've scored now in 43 of 45. They're absolutely flying, regular on the scoring end, as well as conceding. They've conceded now in 28 of their last 26. That's over 2.5 in 32 of their last 37 matches. Over 2.5 team total in 14 of 23. So a lot of times they're covering that 3 alone. And then in the first half specifically, when you look at Barcelona, sometimes you're not really going to get good advantageous lines. So you need to be paying attention live with them for those lines. One line specifically, well, Barcelona has had a first half goal in 35 of their last 41 matches. That's 85%. That's them scoring a goal, not just a goal. A goal, 39 of the last 41. So you've seen a first half goal in Barcelona matches quite regularly. So that's something to notate. If that line drops a little bit, that's probably a line that I look to attack live. But then you look at they have actually played one another 4 times in European play. I know you can't really do a lot with this because the last match that they did play was in 2021 when the center midfield line was led by Sergio Busquets, man of the match. So we know how far Busquets has come. He's now in Miami. That's a long time. So we can't really take those matchup history as something that's really concrete. So we got to look at that recent history. Both teams are kind of trending. Barcelona is at the top of the Champions League, which means that there's a potential for them to be a little bit more complacent than some of the teams that are on the fringe who are really desperate for points. So that is also something to be mindful of. Benfica does need some points, but both could theoretically survive with a tie. It's an interesting match that I want to see again. I want to check that money. I want to check the lineup. So there's some due diligence I need to do today specifically in order to look at this match. And it's something that I have my eye on. Prince, what do you got next for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Can't go wrong with Barcelona goals, that's for sure. So, yeah, I'm interested in that one as well. For my next official pick here for the show, we're going to a 12 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So, here about 45 minutes here live on the show here. We got kickoff here between Al Hilal, the golden child of Saudi Arabian Pro League, taking on lowly Al Weda, who currently sits 17th out of 18 teams here, second to last in the table here. In the Pro League, look, I might be on the opposite side here of a lot of people here. I'm probably going against the majority here, but let me tell you why. So, first off, we all Al Hilal, they're coming off of two incredible wins, 9-0 and 5-0 against Al Feta and Al Aroba, respectively. They're both 18th and 16th in the table. So the schedule has really been favorable here. It's kind of worked out really well for Al Hilal. They're playing the bottom 3 teams in the table in 3 consecutive games. So that's quite a way for them to rack up some goals theoretically here. However, when we look at the matchup here historically between Al Weda and Al Hilal, Al Weda has been as well relatively competitive here with Al Hilal. They've only lost by 2 or less in 12 of 15 head to head. So again, they've lost by 2 or less in 12 of 15 head to head. But even more importantly, when we look at the first half here with Al Weda, they have lost the first half by 1 goal or less in 10 straight head-to-head with Al Hilal. And that's also 12 out of 15 head-to-head with Al Hilal. So uh, Al Hilal typically in the first half is when they maybe kind of take their foot off the gas. They don't quite score as many goals in the first half as they do in the second half. Um, if we look at Al Weda here, first half plus 1.5 has hit in 19 out of 21 matches overall for Al Weda. So again, this is a team, despite them being buried at the bottom here, they keep it competitive in the first half. Meanwhile, Al Hilal on the other side, first half minus 1.5, which means winning by two or more in the first half, has only hit in 4 out of their last 16 matches overall. So again, the trends in the data suggest here that Al Hilal starts slow, Al Weda keeps it close slow. So for that reason, I'm going to be on Al Weda first half plus 1.5 at minus 160. We're following the trends here. We're going to follow the data. I think if there's going to be a blowout, it's going to happen in the second half. And so for that reason, we're going to bet split here. And my second best bet is going to be highest scoring half to be the second half at minus 135. This has hit in 5 straight for Al Hilal matches. Look, I think tired legs are going to play a factor here. In the second half, Al Hilal pumps in a goal or two. You start to lose that motivation. You start to lose that spirit. You start to lose that belief that you can actually compete. And I think if we're going to see goals, it's going to be in the second half against a tired 17th place Al Weda team here. But I do expect them to keep it relatively competitive. In the first half, I think there's a good chance of that. So again, Al Weda first half plus 1.5, and then highest scoring half to be the second half.
Very interesting. Love that. I have a lot of opinions on Al Hilal, and I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. I want to interrupt and say Kiev just scored.
Yes,
But
count
I
it.
don't know. I haven't seen anything come back yet. I haven't seen the VAR. It looks like there's a potential check over. Never mind. It looked like it went out of bounds on like the run up. This guy just like, I mean, it was like wow, it was very close, and the referee had his back turned as
Oh
he was
wow.
running away. So I
Oh,
don't necessarily know if that was the correct call or any VAR, but what I can say is we talked about Kiev to score not 10 minutes ago. That line long before I came in here was minus 140. So anybody who jumped on that Kiev line, bang, absolute banger. That's what you love to see during this show. Not only can we tail a fellow friend, and that's 2 people endorsing a pick. So hopefully you guys got that in. But I want to jump back into Al Hilal Al Weda. Very interesting match here. Absolutely. Al Hilal has taken on 2 of the bottom barrels just prior to this. They are without Mitrovic. I don't think he's coming back. But his backup was Leonardo, is the guy who just came over. He is a young superstar and he's banging in goals. I'm not going to lie. He runs through the channels and links up better with the guys than Mitrovic does. I think Mitrovic is great in the air. No doubt, Mitrovic is Mitrovic, but he is on the tail end of his career. This is a young buck. He's hungry and very exciting. With that being said, he could miss a few chances, but Al Hilal scored in 88 straight. 88 straight matches. They've had 2 plus in 37 of the last 39 league matches. Both of those, if they didn't hit 2 plus, it was in Al Nasser. Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nasser. So that's not surprising. Referees typically ref that game very differently. They've actually conceded now in 22 of 34. So you do regularly see Al Hilal concede. They conceded in the first half last week. A lot of times it's against the run of play. They're very open, right? So they have a very open game plan that overloads the forward line, just similarly to like kind of a Barcelona. They try to attack you and outscore you versus just try to defend it away. They've hit over 2.5 now in 21 of 25. So they're regularly hitting that over. A lot of times they do that by themselves. This Al Weda squad, though, they scored in 15 of the last 19, which is regular production for the Saudi League. They've conceded now in 22 of their last 23 and 2 plus in 9 of their last 12. We had a bet on them last time out. They did concede late against a pretty poor opposition. They got a guy leading the line. I believe it's Igalo, former of Manchester United. He can put the ball in the net if given the opportunity, but typically what Weda does is they sit real deep, real deep, and they're going to try to absorb that pressure. I don't know how successful that's going to be against this Al Hilal squad, but like Prince mentioned, it could be one of those that it frustrates them for a little while, so they do some extra passing, extra running, and then if for a good possibility. I mean, let's be honest, that they could concede. And if they did concede in the first half, you would need 3 goals in order to cover that line. So it is a very interesting look. I'm interested to see how that pans out. Wade has also hit both teams to score in 14 of 19 and over 2.5 and 9 of 11. So they're also regular on the scoring. And then you take it a step further and you look at their matchup history. Both teams' score is hitting 8 of 10, over 2.5 is in 7 and 9. However, we always have to be cautious about these long-term matchup history with Al Hilal and some of these other teams. These teams are changing so rapidly. You're seeing the change from just Middle Eastern countries rapidly. I'm talking the downside from UAE Pro League to what it is now as of 6 months ago. It's insane. Qatar is still hitting like crazy, but it doesn't have some of the same talent level. You're seeing all this anybody who's over there that wants to be paid, they're coming to Saudi Arabia. That's where the money is. Just think of in football in America. People aren't going to be playing football in Mexico and Canada. They're coming to America. That's where the money is. So this is what's happening in Saudi. Last thing, I'm going to be looking at this match live, Al Hilal, because what we've mentioned, there's some trickiness in this lines, but there's a potential that they could come out and score 4 or 5 goals in the second half, like legit 4 or 5 goals within 10, 15, 20 minutes. So it is something we want to be mindful of. This is a tricky opposition, but you do like Al Hilal at home. They're also unbeaten in a ridiculous fashion, so you do expect them to get a result. And then Saudi itself, prior to these 3 matches that are playing, or 2 matches that are playing right now, and one that's upcoming, in the last 12 matches, they've had 7 stoppage time goals, 7 90-plus minute goals. And a lot of those goals were your overhitting, your BTTS hitting. It's not that they're just those Al Hilal did have, like they will be that team that maybe runs up and does one in stoppage time just because. But stoppage time goals are anomalies. You don't expect to see that. But in Saudi right now, you're seeing that these teams are overloading at the end. They're poor defensively, and they'll sit in deep and just wait to the end to nick them. So it's something that you want to be mindful of. A plus 250 sprinkle around the 88th minute these days seems to be weirdly profitable. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it is something to notate. Okay, so we've talked about you still have a play, and I still have a play. Yeah, sorry, I hadn't even talked. I was just really excited about that one. That one's coming up at 11, by the way. So it's not televised, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to have to go to another one of places I can watch that game.
Yeah. There's streams out there. You just do some googling. You guys can DM me. I'll give it out if you guys are interested on a stream to watch.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And then for my final game here that we're going to be covering here on the show, another 12 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So again, coming up here shortly, we're going to go to the Egyptian Premier League. This is a league that we don't cover as often, but I found some interesting stats here for this particular matchup. We're going to go to the matchup between ENPPI, which I have no idea what it stands for, and it's probably a good thing because I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it if I did. They're currently 15th out of 18th in the table here. So towards the bottom, taking on Talaya El Gaish. Hopefully I said that right. Shout out to all the Egyptian Premier League fans out there. If I didn't, you can tell me why. Anyway, they're 13th out of 18th here in the table. So two of the lower teams here in the table. But the interesting data here, and you guys know I always like to give a shots off target special. This is going to be one of those specials for today. ENPPI has seen under 1.5 hit in 7 straight matches. This is a team that doesn't score and they don't concede. It's also hitting 10 out of 13 overall. And they have seen under 2.5 hit in 11 out of 13. So again, there's a significant trend here of no goals or 1 goal being scored in their matches, at most 2 goals. Meanwhile, Tala Gaish, also under 2.5, has hit in 9 out of their last 13 matches for them. If you look at the head-to-head here, head-to-head has seen under 2.5 hit in 3 straight and 13 out of 15 for the head-to-head matchup. So again, the trends are all suggesting that we're not going to see goals here. Both teams are averaging less than 1 goal scored per match in the league tables thus far. ENPPI, they have held 5 clean sheets out of their 8 matches overall. So again, everything here is suggesting no goals. Now the problem is all the unders are nuked. Okay, They're unplayable pre-match, and realistically, you really can't bet unders live because the longer the game goes without a goal, the worse of a price you're going to get. So it's unless you see a goal early on, they're kind of unplayable live. So you really have to look pre-match if you're playing unders. And I will tell you, I had some difficulty finding some value here on I liked, but what I did land on is something that I haven't given out before, but we're gonna do it here. We're gonna go for a correct score bet split. We're going to take a 0-0 at plus 330, and we're going to take a 1-1 at plus 340. And the reason for that is because 10 of these matches have ended in a draw head to head between these two sides out of 24. So it's a little under 50%, but enough to take a shot at it. But considering how low these both teams score and allow goals, it's a better payout than if we were to take a draw under the 2.5. That only pays out a plus 175. So I put in all the numbers, and you get more of a payout by bet splitting the 0-0-1-1 as opposed to just taking a draw under the 2.5. So that's the bet that I landed on here. That's the only bet that I could really find that had some value. Again, everything was nuked to the under. There was a minus 1.75. I didn't like that, because some of the trends do suggest there could be two goals. I don't want to take a chance on a minus 1.75 and losing on two goals. So that's the play that I landed on. Again, correct score, bet split 0-0 and 1-1. Those are going to be my two official plays for that one.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're looking for goals, I wouldn't open up the sports book and type in EGYPT. I would close it. In
Yeah.
the last 12 matches, both teams' scores hit once. In the last 51 matches, both teams' scores only hit 13 times. That's 25%. Over 2.5, 14 and 37, 27%. So around 1 in 4 matches is going to hit that over or hit the both teams' score. It's ugly out there. It's very similar numbers to Cyprus. Cyprus is super, super ugly. Both teams' score is 10 and 29. 26% in Cyprus, but the over 2.5 is 14 and 15. So if you are looking at Cyprus ever, just know that the BTTS is not hitting as opposed to that over 2.5. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into my best bet. Yes, the Egypt play should be on MGM, should be on DK, should be on FanDuel. It's a pretty popular league. So you shouldn't necessarily have it's the top flight. There is two, so it's not the second division, but it's a top flight. Okay, so I'm going to get into my best bet for today. Pretty excited about this match. Some really, really great stats. You've got a match between Red Star Belgrade and PSV Eindhoven. You got Red Star. They come in scoring in a whopping 58 straight when they're at home and 54 of their last 56 overall. Regular scores. The last time that they didn't score at home was September 8th, 2022. That's 866 days. I had to get that math out. That's a long time. They've conceded now, though, in 21 of 22 in Europe. They go to Europe, they're conceding. They play a nice open brand of football, and typically they're a little less than on the talent-wise to some of their other compatriots. So then you look at over 2.5. They've hit it in 18 of 20 in Europe. So Red Star, both teams to score and over 2.5 is coming in frequently. And then when both teams to score hits in a Red Star match, 46 of the last 47 have featured that over 2.5. Very, very important. So you got PSV. They've scored in 38 of 40 and 15 of the last 18 in Europe. They also score regularly. They've conceded in 22 of 30 regular score or conceding and 16 of 18 in Europe. So regular in Europe and away from home. They've conceded in 20 of the last 25. So they not only do they concede, but they also concede in Europe and they concede away from home, especially. I watched in the past 3 matches. It was a cup match and then 2 league matches. They look rough, to be quite honest. They look very porous. They look very open. They look like they can score, but they also look like they're ready to concede at a moment's notice. So my favorite look on this is the both teams to score and over 2.5 parlay. I got that at minus 145. It's a play that I have made with Crvena Zvezda, aka Red Star Belgrade, for a number of years. I'm talking years. Every time that you think that they have a possibility to score, you should play it, especially at home. Even in league play, they hit it like crazy. They love to play nice open brand of football. So that's my favorite look of the day. The Dub Club's members got that this morning. It looks like since then the number has trickled up. somewhere around minus 165 to minus 170. That's why we have the Dub Club, to make sure we can get those numbers to you guys as quickly as we can before it moves. Uh, those are my looks, I guess you could say, the ones that I'm really targeting. I have a number of other looks here that I have listed out in a few other leagues from around the world. We got leagues today, we got leagues tomorrow. So if anybody has questions in the chat of anything specific, type it in now. Seems like we got a lot of people here today. Sean Ritchie, Tony Metzger, Eduardo, good to see you guys. Al, my guy, good to see you too. Gary, thanks for coming. Um, a lot of regulars. Russell Johnson, good to see you again as always. Thanks to you guys so much for coming to support. It does mean the world, but we're not finished yet. For those of you who wanted our best bets, so you got them. But now we're going to look at a few looks that we're probably targeting. I want to talk about tomorrow has two leagues returning. The A League has a match at 2:30 a.m. Adelaide and Auckland. I love Adelaide. Anybody who has been tailing the A League, I lost my stats here. I'm going to get it. The A League is insane. They have some teams there that are such performers. They play a real open brand of football. It's really exciting to watch, to be quite honest. But then you look at these numbers. Adelaide, they've scored in 26 of 28 and conceded in 20 of 21. Regular scoring, regular conceding. 38 of the last 41 matches that they've played, they've let in a goal. That's crazy, which is why you're going to see these ugly lines. They've hit both teams to score 23 of 28 and over 2.5 and 24 of 29. They're one of the darlings of the A League that you want to tail. Typically get ugly lines, but they're playing an Auckland side. Auckland is new from New Zealand. They have an issue with regular scoring and conceding. So sometimes they score, sometimes they concede, but it's not all coming together at the same time. They're a new squad. They're playing away from home, which is interesting. When they're at home in New Zealand, that travel seems to be affecting some teams when they go there. But when they go away from home, they do perform better than expected, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see how this match goes. I haven't actually looked at the lines yet, but I'm definitely looking at this match overnight. Then you got the two Qatar matches tomorrow. Pretty much impossible not to love. You've got who is it? Shabab taking on Al. No, that was yeah. No, that's yeah. We had Saudi have a match with very similar teams, or UAE, excuse me, this morning with the similar names. Was it? No, is that Al Ain for? It's hard because they have all the same names.
Yeah, the Saudi. Yeah, they're all
I'm
out.
looking at three Al Nassers right here in Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE. Um,
Al A through Z, basically.
yeah, it's Al Jazeera. That one is a regular scoring match. They've hit both teams to score 9 straight. Shabab has scored in 34 of their last 37, conceded in 21 of 25. They're regular on the scoring front and conceding front, same as their opponents. Al Jazeera, 19 of 23, scoring, 21 of 28, conceding. They also hit that over 7 of 9 matchups. That's a regular scoring fixture in Qatar. Might be one to look at. The numbers are actually sort of advantageous in some of them, but one of them's new, or that might have been for UAE today, because Kor Fakan, for some reason, couldn't score against Ayman this morning, 0-2, but they had an expected goal differential of close to 1.7. This is what I mean with UAE right now. Stay away from UAE. Focus more on Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi, even though Saudi is a bit tricky. Do you have any looks in England, English League One? I have a couple that I would talk about, but I figured I know you're probably looking at those.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at a few things right now. Well, for today, I'm for Champions League anyway. I'm going to be looking at Dortmund and Bologna. Dortmund has been, if anyone's been following Dortmund, wow, incredibly pathetic defensive performances here lately from Dortmund. Just one win on the road in the Bundesliga. Now they did get a couple wins in Champions League on the road away to Zagreb, I believe, and Bruges. But look, I mean, I think just with their current form that they're in, I could see them definitely conceding here against a Bologna side that has scored 2+ in their last 5 matches. So with this one being over there in Bologna, BTTS over 2.5 seems like a play that I'll probably take a look at. I haven't looked at the lines yet for this one. It's definitely one that I've got my eye on for today. In terms of tomorrow, and more Champions League. You got Bayern Munich taking on Feyenoord. Bayern Munich's been a goal scoring machine. I expect them to put a lot of goals in against Feyenoord in that one. You've got Arsenal taking on Dinamo Zagreb. Zagreb, traditionally, they somewhat struggle on the road, especially way to an EPL side. I think that might be a little bit too much for them. I could see Arsenal maybe laying the smackdown on that one. And then you got the games that a little bit not as big of names, but Brest and Shakhtar Donetsk, right? It's another one where Brest, they were in a good form, scoring goals. Shakhtar is one of those teams that typically concede as well. Again, these are games that I've just kind of got my eye on. I haven't dug into their numbers and their trends yet, so nothing officially for those. Of course, you got Real Madrid taking on Salzburg. Real Madrid, they should be a team that scores a lot of goals, but you never know. Sometimes they lay an egg. But and then of course Man City and PSG. That's the marquee matchup of the day. Tomorrow it's going to be I sometimes I worry about those matches and whenever they're overhyped, like I feel like they end up being a dud. It's just a feeling that I have with some of those. I hope that's not the case with this one, but I think City has finally found their form, and PSG is one of those teams you don't really want to fade at home. So interested to see that one. So I think over the next few days, of course, we got Europa League coming up on Thursdays. You got all those matches, which those are always interesting because you have a lot of kind of mid-tier teams which are not good defensively. So you typically see a lot more goals in those matches. So there's definitely over the next few days, we're going to have a lot of lines that we're going to be looking at here and giving out on the communities and our VIP channels.
Yeah, and these are some of the best matches to attack live. A lot of times things change throughout the match, especially at halftime. Right now, there's Galatasaray and Kiev. They're still playing. I took a look at the lines. You got Galatasaray next team to score around like minus 250, and Kiev is a playable number to score again. I'm not sure. I do think Galatasaray score. The over 4.5 was not playable. It was an over 5.5 at a 3-goal match. So typically they're removing all the value of trying to attack this match live. So I'm not really sure what to do with it. Galatasaray doesn't necessarily need to push forward too hard. And every time Kiev push forward and leave themselves exposed, Victor Osimhen can just run through. So I'm not sure. We'll continue to watch this live. But we have that Al Hilal match coming up at 11. We have the two Champions League matches at 11:45. Monaco and Villa is super interesting. Monaco's an over squad. Villa's an over squad, but not in Europe.
Right.
Villa plays this really low block. Unai Emery ball. I love Unai Emery. I'm an Arsenal fan. It was tough for me to get the realization that he was leaving the club. I didn't think he was doing a bad job, but I digress. He is a phenomenal manager, and he knows how to tactically take care of these type of competitions. Villa have enough points right now to where they don't necessarily need to push forward for that win. So it could be one of those stalemates, but it also could be a 3-3. Like Monaco has no defense. They're conceding against horrid teams. What do they lose against Montpellier? I think they were scored on, maybe tied. Montpellier, that's not good. That's was poor, like really, really poor. That's a team who can't keep a clean sheet. Monaco's not in a good place. I don't like their attacking players, but when you're hungry and you're at home and you need points, this sets up for, who scores the first goal. And if somebody scores the first goal, bang, 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 bang. Or if not, then we might continue to see nil-nil. So we're going to be watching that live. I think Atalanta could dump on Sturm, but I don't necessarily want to attack it pre-match. I don't like any of those lines as well. So it's hard to find value in some of these over bet matches. I could talk about some. So I want to talk about the English League One. This is not a lot of people have the English League One, which is why I don't talk about it as much. But there are some interesting matches today. We have Bolton. Bolton is a regular performer in the goal department in a lower English league, which is kind of surprising. The English League One is probably the highest scoring of all the English leagues this year, besides the Premier League. Bolton have scored in 22 of 26, conceded in 24 of 29. Charlton have scored in 22 of 27 and conceded in just 16 of 25. They're not trending well lately. Both teams' scores hit regularly in this matchup. Same with the over, but it's just not lately. Charlton's making things difficult. Bolton's looking a little bit hit or miss, back and forth. There might be a 3-goal, might be a 2-goal, might be a BTTS, might not. When you have that, you want to avoid. Same thing with Peterborough. Peterborough used to be like the top performer. You can still look and see all the goals that they've let in, but they're not scoring as well as they were. 22 of 29, but it's really lately that they're not scoring. They've conceded in 19 of 21 regular conceding and 36 of 39. I expect to see Exeter score. I just don't know if I see Peterborough score, even though Exeter has conceded in 17 of 20. Peterborough are struggling. So I couldn't get there on those lower English League plays. The Wigan Burton game looks bad. Harrogate Colchester looks bad. Fleetwood MK Dons is there. MK Dons is out of form. Fleetwood stinks. Um, there's just a lot of crap. But also, when I say crap, I just mean pre-match crap. Like
Yeah.
we can find advantageous lines as it goes. Same thing yesterday when I found live lines for the Chelsea match. Sometimes pre-match stinks. Let's look at to attack live. Is there anything else that you wanted? It looks like there's a potential penalty review.
For who?
It looks like it could be a handball on Kiev in the box.
Ah, that's your third goal you called.
Hold on. Galatasaray has a red card.
Oh,
Oh, no. They're taking back. They're taking back the foul, which was a yellow card, which was a second red, and they're giving a penalty for Galatasaray. So it was off of a corner, weird rustle. Yeah. So how do you Galatasaray? This happens all the time with teams.
this is the Galatasaray experience, guys. This is what you get with their matches.
This is the most confusing play. I don't know if anybody is watching this right now. The Galatasaray guy is attacking, and he jumps over around the guy and hits it with his left hand and slaps it back into the middle. The ref gave him a yellow for that, second yellow, red. Upon review, apparently the Kiev guy fouled him first, and so they're giving either the foul or the handball. I don't have the noise on, so I don't know, but Osimhen is currently taking the penalty. God, that's just it stinks for Kiev. That was a weird play, but not surprising for anybody who has watched.
Yeah, and let's see. Coming up. Yep, he made it. There you go. 3-1.
You're about three. Oh, down the middle. You
Yeah.
jerk.
Oh my god. Wow.
They could score for fun this game.
He really could. Yeah. We gotta look at the lines on that one, that live, but it's probably all nuked, but we'll see.
All sucks, yeah.
It probably all suck, yeah. I'm sure all the lines suck.
All right, so I think that's pretty much all we have. I mean, there's more that we could talk about, but we'll go ahead and just leave you guys with all that information for today and tomorrow morning. Thank you guys again so much for coming to another episode of Shots on Target with your host, Brad Betts, and my co-host, the Prince of Picks, at Prince of Picks 10, the Royal Capper. Thanks again for coming and joining me today as we give you guys a few best bets and a bunch of different looks for the slate. We'll catch you guys next Tuesday. And if you have any questions, as always, hit us in the DMs. We respond very well. And we'll see you guys later.